The Bulls versus the Bears. Get in the game. www.tackletrading.com.
Matt Justice here for Tackle Trading. I want to talk real quickly about Apple. Apple is the largest stock in the entire world, has the greatest market cap in the entire world. They got one of the best names in the entire world regarding their stock and what they're trying to do. Obviously, many people of you who have heard me talk about Apple, despite all of the qualities of Apple, and I am an Apple user, I have iPhones, iPads, all of that jazz, love iTunes. But at the same time, I'm a little disgruntled as an Apple lover recently because they really haven't done much in terms of new product creation. I know they're coming out with the Apple iWatch, but they're the 10th company to do that in the last year, not the first. They haven't had a new iPhone outside of minimal variations of the iPhone for 7 years. They really haven't had a new iPad in years and years, and I know they go bigger screen or whatnot, but I've always looked at Apple as an innovator. I've always looked at Apple as cutting edge, and I just haven't seen that from the company in recent years. So I'm looking at Apple right now, and I'm saying, okay, this juggernaut, absolutely juggernaut of a company is reporting earnings here later on today, and they're expected to make more money than you can count. They are expected to make more money than you could possibly fathom. They sold more iPhone 6s than you could remotely even comprehend, and literally 40 billion in sales in the last quarter, and you're looking at that, you're like, oh my goodness, how can Apple go down? How can Apple go down? How can Apple go down? It's got to go up. 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 Well, maybe and maybe not. That's not how the market is responding to Apple. Maybe, just hypothetically, maybe there's some institutions that want to get out of Apple, and they're going to use this massive liquidation time to get out of Apple, or maybe there's hedge funds out there that want to put a lot of money in Apple because it's not going down to the same degree that, say, some of the other companies in the S&P 500 and Dow 30 are going down. So, I look at this, and you never want to go into an earnings report with an expectation one way or the other. That's just pure gambling. That's not how we make money long term. Yeah, you could go out there and buy call options, and Apple blows it out of the water, and it's got a gap at least 10 points for you to make money. If it gaps 5 points, you're still going to lose money based on volatility. So, you'd never want to do that. And the thing about it is, if Apple does explode out of the water, you can always assess it tomorrow, get into tomorrow. And if Apple goes down, on the earnings, you might want to just say, oh, maybe that's a good thing I didn't do anything. Well, here on Apple, one of the things that I'm looking forward on Apple is not necessarily the movement specifically on Apple. As you can see, it's had a nice little run over the course of the last year. It's now basing over the last month and a half up here between, really kind of this area right here, about 95 and 103. But it's Apple's importance to the overall marketplace. When you look at the major market indexes out there, and we're going to look at a few of them right here. Let's go down the list here. The S&P 500, okay, let's look at this. The S&P 500 is in a short-term downtrend. The NASDAQ is in a short-term downtrend. The Russell 2000 is basically in some degree of short-term downtrend, intermediate downtrend, and the Dow Jones also in some degree of short-term downtrend. So a behemoth, a juggernaut like Apple, it's going to have a tremendous impact on the marketplace as a whole, and I really feel like the market will respond positively or negatively to Apple, not just Apple and its investors or institutions, but to the marketplace as a whole. So let's look at Apple a little more closer from a market expectation. First of all, when you're looking at Apple here, Apple has a market maker move of right around $4. That's about 4%, and it split 7-to-1 recently, just a few months back. But that's typically in line with Apple, is somewhere around the 5% area, and historically that's about what Apple has gapped on earnings. If you go back in time to this earnings report, it goes from 75, up to 80, up to pretty much average $80. It's a 5-point gap on a $75, right around 6%. It then goes from here at 79 and opens up the next day right at 72. So 79 to 72, that's a 7-point. That's right around an 8-9% gap. Here it's a negligible gap, and here it's a negligible gap there as well. So you're looking right around an average of about a 4% gap on Apple. That's right in line with the market expectation. That pretty much means I'm not going to do much on Apple. I probably won't do a short strangle, probably won't do an inverted butterfly. I'm certainly not going to get out there and risk my money on something that I don't have a good feeling for. And if my expectation, if I have 4 earnings seasons, 2 of them have gapped 6 to 9% and 2 of them have done nothing, I really don't have a big probability of, the inverted butterfly working or the short strangle working or the iron condor working. So really I'm not going to do much on Apple here tonight, and I might regret that in an hour and a half, but at the same time I always have to determine the probability of the movement. I always have to determine exactly what my personal expectation is, and I have to trade with that type of analysis. Well, again, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be tracking Apple's earnings. Apple's earnings is vital to the market tomorrow. And I think it's going to be the number one driver of the market this week. And so when we're looking at Apple's earnings reports, even if we do not have an inclination to make a trade on Apple, you got to track it for tomorrow. You got to track it for what's going to happen tomorrow in the marketplace so that you really can get a feel about what the market's going to do tomorrow, because it could be a game changer with such a juggernaut like Apple reporting earnings. Matt Justice for Tackle Trading. Check us out at the website, and always check us out at the Trading Justice podcast. You can search Trading Justice at iTunes. We got a new podcast with Jeremy Reese on improving your credit scores in real estate investing, actually, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Until next time.
Get in the game. www.tackletrading.com